So every time I give a workshop, particularly in the secondary school, one that's a Brilliant Mondays workshop, which is based on my book, which is all about how ordinary people achieve extraordinary things. At the very end of the workshop, whenever I have time, I sort of issue the students with a challenge to set and achieve what I call a breakthrough goal. Now, my job when I go into your school is to convince everybody that ordinary people like all of us are capable of extraordinary things. My job isn't to try and get you, imagine if this is somebody achieving extraordinary things. My job isn't to try and get you to do that today. My job is to try and get you to go from here to here. Because if I can get you to go from here to here, you'll naturally go to there and beyond, and who knows where you'll end up. Now, everybody who I interviewed for my book, I interviewed them because they achieved something that we could deem fairly extraordinary, but a common denominator that I noticed again and again as I interviewed these people was they said to me earlier in their lives, they said, Stephen, I achieved something that in the eyes of the world probably wasn't a big deal, but to me it was huge. It was something that gave me a great boost in confidence, and it gave me the courage to ask, what else am I capable of achieving? And I call this the breakthrough goal. So basically, this is the one here I want you to achieve, and pretty much everybody should have a template which gives you all the instructions as to how you can achieve your goal. So if I was in your school recently, you should have one of these templates. If you don't, you can download it on my website. You'll find it. If you look at the bars at the top, you'll see more, and breakthrough template will be on it, and you can download it from there. So I'll give you an example of a breakthrough goal. I interviewed this guy called Simon Hutchinson, a very ordinary guy from County Cavan, who told me years ago he read a book by a guy called Mark Beaumont. And this book was all about the time that Mark cycled around the whole world. Now, Simon read that book and thought, oh my God, imagine being the kind of person who could cycle around the whole world. I wish I was one of those kinds of people. But he says, but I know I'm not. So he said he put the book down and he got on with his life. A few years later, his cousin is running 32 marathons in 32 days, which is probably a story I told you about. And his cousin Ken said to Simon, look, we're looking for people to run some of these marathons with us to try and raise money for charity. Simon on a whim, I'll do 6 marathons. This guy had never run a marathon before in his life. Wasn't even that fit, but he said he committed to doing 6, and he said there was no pulling out. So he showed up for his first marathon, somehow got through that. He said a few days later he joined the guys in a different county, somehow got through the second marathon. And Simon said to me, halfway through his third marathon, not even his 6th, his third marathon, he said to me, he had this dim realization where he said to himself, I'm going to do this. I'm going to finish all 6 marathons. And in doing that, I'll have done something I would have thought was impossible for somebody like me. And he said when he crossed the finish line for his 6th marathon, he said his mind went to this place where it started to ask, what else have I been telling myself I couldn't do that maybe in fact I can? And he said he started to think about this idea of cycling around the whole world again. And when I interviewed Simon, he said to me, I genuinely didn't know if I had it in me to cycle around the whole world, but I knew one thing. I would have thought it was impossible for me to run 6 marathons in 5 weeks, and yet there I was, having done it. And he said this was the sort of breakthrough experience that just gave him the courage to try and cycle around the whole world. So this is a picture here of Simon cycling back into Cavan Town. You can see him there with his arm raised, 160 days after he'd set off, having cycled around the entire world. 18,000 miles is the Guinness Book of Records requirements. And Simon is sort of the epitome of, a lot of people who I interviewed, they said they decided, look, my vision's becoming reality. Whatever happens, whatever obstacle I face, I will overcome. He faced so many obstacles on that trip around the world. I don't have time to tell you because I want to keep this video short, but I'll tell you one. Simon told me that he landed into Australia and he was cycling out of Perth Airport. He was typing something into a sat-nav and he said everything went black. And I said, what, on the sat-nav? And he said, no, me. He woke up in a hospital bed. He was naked and there was 2 policemen standing beside him. Now what had happened is, as Simon was typing into the sat-nav, he'd cycled into the back of a truck. He broke his jaw and cracked several ribs. This is why they cut his clothes off him. 4 days later, Simon was back on his bike, cycling through the Australian bush with kangaroos literally bouncing along beside him. Now, cycling around the whole world was the extraordinary thing that Simon did, but that's not the reason why I told you the story. The reason I told you his story was because of this breakthrough goal here, because that was the one that changed everything, the 6 marathons. And a man runs 6 marathons in 5 weeks, it's probably not a big deal. You're not going to read about that in the newspaper, but to Simon that was huge. And that's what I want you to do, is to replicate that in some way, is to set and achieve a breakthrough goal. All the instructions you need will be on your breakthrough template. Ideally, it's something you can achieve within 2 or 3 months. It's got to be something that forces you to grow. At the end of it, you don't want to be this person anymore, you've got to be this person here. So it can't be something that you just push yourself really hard today and could get done. It's got to be something that you've got to grow or develop skills to do. So maybe you'll learn the guitar. Maybe you'll set yourself a fitness challenge, like trying to run 5K in under 25 minutes, something like that. Or maybe you will make a short film. Or if you want to be a pilot, maybe you will figure out how to get 200 quid together to take your very first flying lesson. So that's the challenge, is to set and achieve a breakthrough goal. So good luck with it, and let me know how you get on.